Welcome to my video to World of Warcraft Classic Plus. This video is a Twitch stream that was not edited, so it's going to look like a Twitch stream. The design direction of my vision of Classic Plus is substantially different from that of retail WoW Circuit Shadowlands and a private servers, Vanilla Plus and Turtle WoW. This is partially because it aims to fix Vanilla WoW's many problems first, flesh out and polish so it's already there second, and add new content third. This is part of a playlist of videos. Check this video's description for a link to the playlist. This document displays my vision of World of Warcraft Classic Plus, and the document's version number is version 1.5.17. All versions of the document are based upon patch 1.12.2 of World of Warcraft, the one before the Burning Crusade pre-patch. If you just want to know about the general design direction of my vision of Classic Plus before you otherwise look into this, then watch the introductory video in this playlist, or review the document yourself and look at the list of major features. The link to the document is on my channel's About page. That, and I do not have a team of people, or however, working to me to make an actual private server out of this. It's all pure design thus far, and they ain't done yet. Now, before getting into this, you want to know what profession cooldowns and profession level restriction variables are. Most examples of profession cooldowns for vanilla are engineering bombs. This is what the glossary says about profession level restriction variables. A profession cooldown, sometimes referred to as a profession buff, is a specific combat-altering bonus and/or ability that is not necessarily tied to equipment that primary professions grant the player in order to make engineering not be the end-all be-all best profession in the entire game by leaps and bounds. Such buffs include the profession granting a permanent bonus to a stat, the profession granting an activated ability of some sort, or the profession granting the ability to use an item or enchant that requires having the profession at a specific level or higher, and possibly with a specific profession specialization in order to make use of it in the first place. So, for example, enchanters can apply enchanting oil to their to their wand or relic, and this enchanting oil will do absolutely nothing unless you are an enchanter of the appropriate amount of enchanting skill, and possibly, the appropriate amount of enchanting skill. Of course, you'll lose all of your profession buffs and cooldowns if you drop your profession. That is, they won't do anything anymore. What's the profession level restriction variable? This is a poorly named thing, which corresponds to the character level which means the character level that best corresponds to a specified profession level, concerning how powerful the items are that you are allowed to craft at a given profession level. For example, a character level of 8 best corresponds to a profession level of 65, and a character level of 54 best corresponds to a profession level of 290. On to the enchanting changes. Well, actually, the agenda first. What I want to do, as opposed to how I'm going to do it, comes first. Anyway, what I want to do is flesh out the game. I want to make enchanting be as good in raids as engineering is, when everybody can enchant your gear, when other people can enchant your gear and shit like that for you and on the spot. I want to make low-level enchanting reagents be more valuable by putting item level restrictions on enchants. I want to make all enchants no longer come from 40 main raids, so no more shoulder enchants for power. Though this is partially covered elsewhere in this document. So on a related note, the shoulder enchants that dropped from Saffron, deleted. The Savage Guard and the other head and leg enchants from Zul'Gurub, deleted. You'll get head and leg enchants from elsewhere, such as Scenario Circle Reputation and Timberwall Hold Reputation, to replace those enchants. Anyway, this is about the profession enchanting, not all enchants that you can put on items, just the ones for enchanting. Anyway, moving on. I want to enable enchanters to disenchant mana-based creatures. Oh, by the way, no longer will you be able to find enchanting recipes that drop from the Molten Core. Those will be moved elsewhere. Yeah, I want to enable enchanters to disenchant mana-based creatures, and I want to do things related to other sections. Now then, before I go to the list of enchanter item enchants, it is necessary to go over the other enchanting chain. Wait. 0.6, 0.7. Okay, good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, I did name that correct. I did number those correctly. Good. So, other enchanting changes. A 150 plus enchanted skill, character level 20 or higher, enchanters may choose to specialize into either weapon enchanting or armor enchanting. Many existing enchants, which have yet to be determined, as well as many craftable wands and staves, more on that later, will be locked behind either enchanting specialization. Enchanters will be able to disenchant the corpses of mana-based NPCs, such as mana worms, which are not all skinnable, and mana elementals in a way that skinners are able to skin the corpses of beasts. Excuse me. No mana worms are skinnable. All are not skinnable. Not aren't all, but all aren't. Big difference. Yeah, so disenchanting a corpse will yield a 1% chance of obtaining reagents as if you have disenchanted a green item of the non-player character's level, and a 99% chance of granting vendor trash. Disenchanting corpses will require an enchanted skill of 5 times the corpse's level, and it shall be a green skill up until 5 times the corpse's level plus 5. Skill. Now then. Oh, I also want to do things related to other sections for the enchanting changes. So, the list of enchanter enchants. The enchants that enchanters can put on items have been revamped. This is the full and complete list of enchants that enchanters can put on items, barred enchanted oils. See enchanted oil changes below. That is section number 9.4.6. The sources of these enchants, as well as their exact skill level requirements and reagents, have yet to be determined. Now, here is the list. This is the full and complete list, again, of all enchants that enchanters can put on an equipment, aside from their reagents, exact enchanted skill requirements, where you get them from, and their special enchanting oil enchants to go on wands and relics. See section number 9.4, enchanting oil changes, and it may design that document for more information. Minor enchants that have minor in their name are learned at 10 to 55 in enchanting skill. Enchants with lesser in their name are learned at 61 to 15 enchanting skill. Regular enchants are learned at 120 to 180 enchanting skill. That is, enchants that do not have minor, nor lesser, nor greater, nor superior, nor major in their name. Enchants that do not have any of those 5 words in their name are learned at 120 to 180 enchanting skill. I might compress it to 120 to 170. Greater enchants are learned at 180 to 280, or 185 to 215 enchanting skill, might be extended to 175 to 215. Superior enchants are learned at 220 to 270 enchanted skill, and a major enchants are learned at 275 to 300 enchanted skill. Cloak enchants. So when I go over this list, I'm going to skip all the enchants that are not endgame enchants, for the sake of keeping the video short, because those are probably the only ones that get shit about anyway. Except, aside from the fact that there are lower level enchants, that they exist in the first place. So anyway, endgame cloak enchants. 8 to 1 resistance, 4 resist all, 80 armor, 8 agility, or 5 stealth skill. Endgame chest enchants. 9 stamina, 9 int, or 1 proc per minute chance when stricken of gaining a damage shield for 39 and 46 damage for 1 minute. Proc chance of space on your enemy's attack speeds. Or you can get 18 attack power, or you can get 11 spell damage without healing, or you can get plus 20 healing. Boot enchants. 9 strafe, 9 agility, 9 stamina, 9 int, 9 sphere, or 4 to all stats. No longer is there an option for 8% run speed. You can still get Mithril Spurs, by the way, but that's not an enchanted enchant, that's a blacksmith enchant. Glove enchant. Hey, wait a second, I didn't get rid of Mithril Spurs, I forgot. Nope, I did nothing to Mithril Spurs. Mithril Spurs are completely untouched. Now then, glove enchants. You can get 9 strength, or 9 agility, or 150 mana, or 5 binding, or 5 herbalism, or 5 skinning, or 5 fishing, or 5 block picking, or attack speed, which gives you 1% melee plus range haste and 1 attack power. Designed out to 1 attack power is to spend the remaining itemization budget. Or you can get deadly aimed gloves. 10% range slow, plus 7% range crit, and plus 13 range attack power. Designed out. This and range brutality serve to make more range attack speeds be useful in hunters in the first place. That is, weapons of more types of range attack speeds. That feels better. Water. Drink water. Or you can get marksman on gloves. 1% range haste and 5 range attack power. or it can get 13 fire damage, or 13 frost damage, or 13 nature, or shadow, or arcane damage, or it can get 20 healing on gloves. Bracer enchants. 10 strength, or 10 agility, or 10 stam, or 4 MP5, or 13 spell damage without healing, or 22 healing, or an enchant called Powerful Shots. 5% range slow, 4% range crit, and 7% ranged attack power. Shields. Shields offer a lot of stats because it's complicated, that's why. Major Protect, you can get Major Protection for 2-3 armor, or you can get 23 stam, or 23 int, or 23 spirit, or 23 to 1 resistance, or 10 resist all on a shield. Weapons. These are weapons that apply to one-handed and two-handed melee weapons. These are for casters. The endgame ones in its category are 15 int, 15 spirit, 19 spell damage without healing, 33 healing, or you can get Major Mending. A 1 spell proc per minute chance. Oh, by the way, I gotta go over spell procs per minute. An excerpt for section 3.0.8 proc/on these changes. A new proc system shall be added to the game called SPPM, which stands for Spell Procs Per Minute. It can only be triggered by damaging and healing spells, but not totems, not counting weapon enchantment totems. And by channeled spells such as Arcane, Missiles, and Rain of Fire, and by shaman weapon enchants and Paladin Seals. A spell proc per minute. 1 spell proc per minute shall have a 1 in 120 chance to proc per half second of base casting time, or channeling time per spell proc per minute, and spells whose base cast times are instant shall be treated as 1.5 second cast time spells by SPPM effects. That is of a 1 in 40 proc chance. The maximum spell proc per minute that any the maximum amount of spell procs per minute that any proc is allowed to have is 3 if it can be triggered by Seal Command, 4 if it can be triggered by Drain Soul, but not Seal Command, 9 if it can be triggered by Frostbrand Weapon or Totem, but not by Drain Soul or Seal Command, or 10 if it cannot be triggered by any of those particular spells. Area of effect spells such as Flame Strike and Arcane Explosion have 1 chance to proc per spell cast, or 0 if it does not hit anything. For channeled or persistent AoE spells, it uses its chance as soon as it hits something, if at all. Flametongue Weapon, Flametongue Venom, and Seal Branches of 1.3 speed weapon will have a 2.6 repeating percent proc chance per hit per spell proc per minute, while they have a 6.6 repeating percent proc chance per hit per spell proc per minute with a 4.0 speed weapon, and have an accordingly lower proc chance per spell proc per minute with lower weapon speeds. A Seal Command will be 1 divided by 0.26 times more likely than Flametongue Weapon, Flametongue Totem, and Seal Branches are the proc spell proc per minute effect due to Seal Command's 26% proc chance, and Frostbrand Weapon and Frostbrand Totem will have a 1/9 chance per spell proc per minute to proc its spell proc per minute effects. Spells such as Drain Life and Siphon Life, which deal lifesteal damage, will count stanching spells without counting its healing spells concerning SPPM effects. AoE spells to trigger SPPM effects will use it upon a random target. Fitted to triggering spellcast already affected upon triggering if it is a smart heal, unless it is a smart heal, in which case it will affect the target that needs it the most among those the smart heal healed. Wands can also proc SPPM effects. 1.2 speed wands will have a 2% chance per SPPM per hit to proc SPPM effects, while 2.0 speed wands have 3.3 repeating percent chance per SPPM per hit to proc SPPM effects. Also, considering PPM effects, Shield Bash and Shield Slam will count as 2.4 speed attacks, but that's not relevant to this video. Also, I also want to go over before I really dig into this. It is worth mentioning that almost every damaging and crowd controlling area of effect, spell, item, and buff in the entire game that is available to players, including item enchants, were nerfed to have a hard target cap, Thunderclap, Whirlwind, and Warstomp of up to 6 targets per spellcast or tick. So, for example, if there's 30 guys in front of you, when you proc Dragon Breath Chili, you're only going to hit 6 of them, up to 6 of them, no matter what, and that's before resists. After resist, it'll be less than 6 if one of them gets resisted or more gets resisted. Anyway, this is all part of getting rid of the melee cleave and spell cleave metagames for good. However, I've yet to make the semantics of the entire design document reflect this, though the fact that this change has been in the document for quite some time. Now, back to the 9.4.2. So yes, weapon enchants that apply to one-handed and two-handed weapons both include, well, the end game ones anyway, include 15 int, or 15, you can get 15 int, or 15 spirit, or 19 spell damage without healing, or 33 healing, or you can get a 1 spell proc permanent chance upon casting a healing spell to grant a heal over time effect for 164 hit points every 3 seconds for 12 seconds. This will create a separate buff if it procs all active, leaving the old one alone. By the way, the debuff limit and the buff limit were both increased to 255, though both limits will be shared for the same creature. So don't worry about buffs fall. So don't worry about making buffs fall off because of too many buffs, and don't worry about making debuffs fall off because of too many debuffs. You can also get Major Spell Surge on a weapon, which gives you a 1 spell proc permanent chance upon casting a damage dealing spell to increase the damage dealt by your next applicable spell casted within 9 seconds by up to 326 in the form of bonus spell damage. Or you can get Superior Healer's Aid. A 3 spell proc permanent chance upon casting a healing spell to Smart Heal the target or an ally within a 20-yard radius for 124 to 148 hit points. Or you can get Greater Life Stealing on a weapon, which gives you 1 spell proc permanent chance upon casting the damage healing spell to deal 144 to 187 shadow damage, and then heal you for the damage dealt. The heal cannot crit, but if the damage crits, the heal will be that much bigger. That is, it won't double dip. Oh, by the way, something else I forgot to mention. All procs in the entire game that are not from class-specific sources will no longer scale with bonus spell damage or healing. So, for example, Diamond Flask will no longer scale with plus healing. Healer's Aid will not scale with plus healing. Life Stealing will not scale with bonus spell damage, etc. The reasoning for this is either... So these are my options of those kinds of procs. Either A, I balance them around scaling of spell damage and healing, and therefore they suck if you don't have spell damage or healing. Or B, I don't balance them around spell damage plus healing bonuses, and therefore they're overpowered if you have spell damage plus healing. Or C, they just don't scale. That's what I picked. They don't scale. It's the easier route. I don't like how it serializes the game to some extent, but there are other ways in which I de-serialize the game, if I recall correctly. Anyway, moving on. Yeah, all this shit is not going to scale with bonus spell damage or healing, neither will any other enchant. These are the lists of enchants that work on one-handed weapons, and bows, and crossbows, and guns. Gonna scroll down to the endgame ones. You can get 15 strength. One-handed weapon, you can get 15 strength, melee weapons only. Or 15 agility, melee weapons only. Or major striking, a 2 proc per minute chance on hit to deal an extra 64 damage, affected by crits and such. This is not a separate damage value. Or you can get Major Beast Slayer, a 2 proc per minute chance on hit against the beast to hit for 67 to 94 damage, and reduce damage and healing done by 40% for 10 seconds. As a separate damage value. Debuff is independent of damage, raid mobs and bosses are immune to the debuff. Oh, by the way, for all the creature slaying enchants, all of these are arbitrarily very powerful in order to encourage players to actually fucking get them in the first place, though they probably still won't get it. Or you can get Major Elemental Slayer on a one-handed weapon or ranged weapon. A 2 proc per minute chance on a hit against an elemental to hit for 67 to 94 damage, and slows attack speed by 90% and its casting speed by 60% for 10 seconds. Separate damage value. Debuff is independent of damage. Raid mobs and bosses are immune to the debuff. Or you can get Superior Undead Slayer. 2 proc per minute chance on hit against an undead to hit it for 29 to 40 holy damage, and then turn it, which means fear, for 5 seconds. Just like with the spell, Turn Undead, it bypasses fear immunity. But raid mobs and bosses are still immune to it. Debuff is independent of damage. Or you can get Greater Demon Slayer. 2 proc per minute chance against the demon to hit it for 29 to 40 holy damage, and immobilize it for 6 seconds. Debuff is independent of damage. Raid mobs and bosses are immune to the debuff. Or you can get Dragon Slayer. 2 proc per minute chance on hit against the dragon candidate to hit it for 67 to 94 damage. By the way, when I say damage without any damage height, that means physical damage. That goes for all the enchants. So yeah, 2 proc per minute chance on hit against the dragon to hit for 67 to 94 damage and stun it for 4 seconds. Separate damage value. Debuff is independent of damage. Raid mobs and bosses are immune to the debuff, of course. Or you could put Major Restorative Weapon on a weapon. 1 proc-permitted chance on hit to heal you for 6 hit points. Or you could give it Major Replenishing Weapon. 2 proc-permitted chance on hit to grant you 59 mana. Or you could give it Major Fiery Weapon. 1 proc-permitted chance on hit to light the target on fire, dealing 22 fire damage every 3 seconds for 12 seconds. Creates a separate debuff if it procs all active, leaving the old one alone. Or you can give it Mountain Breaker. 1 proc-permitted chance on hit to make your next melee critical strike within 9 seconds, dealing an extra 171 to 223 damage. This adds damage after your critical damage bonus and before other damage bonuses and penalties. If put on a ranged weapon, it affects ranged crits instead of melee crits. This is not, the bonus damage is not a separate damage value. And, by the way, this might seem particularly powerful, but just because you proc it does not mean that you'll consume the proc. You might not crit within those 9 seconds. Anyway, moving on. Or you can put Superior Arcing Weapon on your one-handed weapon or range weapon. This will give you a 1 proc per minute chance, on hit to Chain Lightning for 44 to 52 nature damage. It jumps like the Shannon spell. 30% less damage for the second target, another 30% less damage for the third target. There is normal damage, and then times 0.7, and then times 0.7 again. 1 times 0.7. Second target is 70% of damage, third target is 49% damage. Or you can put the Superior Icy Weapon on a weapon. 2 proc grenade chance on hits to slow movement speed by 27% for 5 seconds. Or you can give it Great Arcane Weapon. 2 proc per minute chance on hit to deal 37 to 45 arcane damage. Or you can give it Greater Unholy Weapon. 1 proc per minute chance on hit to slow casting speed as a curse by 30% for 9 seconds. Does not work on raid bosses or mobs. Or you can give it Crusader. 1 proc per minute chance on hit to deal for 28 to 38 hit points and increase your strength by 50 for 9 seconds. One hand only, not range. This creates a separate buff if it procs all active, leaving the old one alone, stacking it itself with a separate buff. So yeah, Crusader is not the end-all be-all best enchant in the entire game anymore for most melee classes. And then there's Brutality, the one-hand version. This slows this weapon's attack speed by 10%, but increases your crit chance by 7% and your attack power by 22 for attacks made of this weapon. Design note, the one-handed and two-hand versions might be overpowered. Consider making Brutality only have a ranged version and make a completely different enchant instead for melee weapons, and then rename ranged Brutality to something else. Design note, this would be overpowered if it also affected your other melee weapon. However, it does not. It only affects the attacks of this weapon. Design note, there's no hybrid bonus for the crit and attack power. The attack power comes solely from other organization points that are not enough to spend on crit effect bonus substantially over the budget. The ranged version of your Brutality slows the weapon's attack speed by 10%, but increases your crit chance by 8 and your attack power by 3 for attacks made with that weapon. Design note, that and daily aim are needed, as well as powerful shots, to make specific ranged weapon speeds not be useful to all hunters. So, for example, a 2.2 speed weapon is going to be useful, because you could get 25% fucking range slow on it. Or you could just go for or you could be a marksmanship hunter that wants, like, a weapon of middling speed, or you could be a Beastmaster hunter that wants a fast weapon because of the stuff in the Hunters video. Just look at the Hunters video in the playlist to care that much. And then there's his two-handed enchants. The two-handed enchants are exact copies of the one-handed enchants, except they are exactly 2.5 times better. So, for example, the Brutality enchant. 10% attack speed slow, but 9 crit and 17 attack power. By 2.5 times better, I mean 2.5 times more ionization bonus are allocated to the weapon. The 10% attack speed constitutes a penalty, and that allows me to put a set amount of bonus ionization points on the weapon, which is where the 9 crit and 17 attack power came from. So, two-handed Crusader will be a 2.5 proc minute chance to heal for 20 to 38 hit points and increase strength by 50 for 9 seconds. And generally, for this other stuff, it's either increased damage or increased proc per minute proc chances for going from one-hand to two-hand versions. So, for example, Mountain Breaker is going to be 429 to 557 damage instead of 100 something to 200 something damage. And then Fire Weapon is 55 fire damage every 50 seconds. 55 fire damage per tick instead of 22 damage per tick, etc., etc. And then Strength and Agility are 38 Strength and 38 Agility, rounded up from 37.5. Yeah, so that's a whole lot of stuff. There's a whole lot of enchants. And now then, Moving on to other enchanting formula changes. There shall be new items called Simple Stick and Star Stick, which are smaller versions of Simple Wood and Star Wood, respectively. Mods will use sticks for crafting, where they will use wood before in its the same amount, and simple campfires will still use one simple wood, and crafting stables will use wood instead of sticks. Sticks will be as expensive as wood was, and wood will cost much more than sticks do. This is to help to flesh out the game. All disenchantable items will require a minimum enchanting level to be disenchanted. It'll cause more socialization to occur. For all items, you require 12 less skill to disenchant it if it's green, 6 less if it's blue, or 6 more if it's legendary. That is, this is a modifier to this. Item level 1 to 15 items requires 5 or more skill. 16 to 20 item level 16 to 20 items, 35 plus skill. Item level 21 to 25 items, 65 plus skill. Item level 26 to 30 items, 95 skill. Yada, etc. Item level 61 to 65 items require 300 plus skill, and rank 15 weapons in particular require 306 or more skill. So you can't disenchant them. Not even if you're a high elf, which you get. Actually, unless you're a high elf, then you can disenchant it, because if I recall correctly, you get plus 15 enchanted skill. Notably, you will require enchanting specialization. The enchanting specialization ratio to disenchant rank 15 weapons and legendary items. Okay, that was very good. All major weapon enchants, that is, weapon enchants that have major in their name or otherwise qualify as major enchants, will additionally require 1 or 2 enchants of a new region that has a base cost of 20 gold of the enchanting supply center, which will serve as a much needed gold sink. There is other stuff that I'm doing as well to serve as gold sinks. That's just one of the things. The formula for brilliant wizard oil and brilliant mana oil will no longer be obtained from the standalone tribe reputation. They'll instead be obtained from a more accessible location of some sort, probably world drops. Enchant weapon spell power and enchant weapon healing power will be moved to Thorium Brotherhood reputation. The Encourage enchants will be moved to Scenario Circle reputation. Due to the vastly increased value of epic items compared to Classic Not Plus, and due to all enchants being available before 40-man raids, all enchants in the entire game with no exceptions, being available before 40-man raids, Nexus crystals shall be removed from the game. As such, endgame epic items shall disenchant into multiple large brilliant shards as in early vanilla, and all enchants and quests that require Nexus crystals will instead require thrice as many large brilliant shards. That means 3 times as many. Other enchanting project changes. A quality of life change. All enchanting rods will also qualify as lesser enchanting rods, so you're going to have more bag space if you're an enchanter. All enchanter enchants in the entire game will only be able to be put on items if certain item levels are higher. As such, minor enchants, any item. Lesser enchants, item level 12 and higher items. Regular enchants, item level 24 and higher items. Greater enchants, item level 37 plus items. Superior enchants, item level 44 plus items. And major enchants only fit on item level 55 or higher items. This will increase the value of low-level enchanting mats via twinks, which is good for the economy. The item levels of Lesser Magic Wand and Greater Magic Wand shall be reduced by 5 so that their item levels are in line with the character levels required to equip them, and their damage shall be accordingly reduced. These things were almost blue items, basically, in vanilla, and now they're not going to be. Enchanters will be able to craft Lesser Astral Wands, Greater Astral Wands, Lesser Nether Wands, Greater Nether Wands, Lesser Eternal Wands, and Greater Eternal Wands, and possibly better wands as well, in order to help to flesh out the game. Enchanters will be able to craft various staves, all of which will be caster weapons. This is all to help flesh out the game. By the way, I have not defined almost everything about these items yet. I will get to that at some point. Not an enchanting oil changes. Wizard and mana oils will be revamped. There shall be permanent self-only enchants that are poured upon your wand slot or relic slot, that are poured upon your wand or relic, and do not work on guns, crossbows, throwing weapons, bows, or quest items. These permanent enchants all make the item be bind on pickup and grant you a passive effect and / or reduce spell while equipped. And then you lose a new spell if you unequip it, as well as passive. And you'll also lose a new spell and / or passive effects if you don't have enough enchanting skill to benefit from it. Also, elemental enchanting oils will be added to the game. These wand / relic enchants require routine maintenance to maintain. And so, you'll need enough enchanting skill to craft the oils in order to benefit from the enchanting oils, like I already said. All enchanting oils shall have 3% chance to fail per character level, that is fail to be used per character level that you are below items profession level restriction variable, -5. Remember, I went over profession level restriction variables at the start of the video. -5. In this case, treating something that requires 300 skill as having a profession level restriction variable of 50, not 55. So, endgame ones are not going to fail against level 63 enemies, for example. Never, ever, ever. Elemental oil specifications are as follows. Let's try elemental oil, 145 skill. Graces. While it benefits you, it grants you a spell that summons a random elemental to aid you in battle for 1 minute. Instant cast, 7-minute cooldown. Requires 2 elements of earth, fire, water, and air, among other things, to craft. Elemental oil, 185 skill. Grants a spell that yada, etc., whatever. Major elemental oil, requires 300 skill. Grants a spell that summons a random elemental to aid you in battle for 1 minute. Instant cast, 7-minute cooldown. Requires 4 essences of earth, fire, water, and air, among other things, to craft. The elemental summoned by elemental oil will end early if you unequip the item that you put the enchanting oil on, unless you do this by swapping to a new item with the same enchanting oil on it. Elemental oil summoning spells will let you randomly summon an earth, fire, water, or air elementals of your character level. So maximum of 30 for lesser oils, 38 for regular oils, maximum of 46 for greater oils, maximum level 54 for superior oils, and of course 60 for major oils. Summoned fire elementals will deal this much average damage per hit, 52.5 at level 60 as fire damage, and they'll be immune to fire damage. So in water elementals will hit exactly as hard as frost damage. So in air elementals will hit exactly as hard as nature damage. Of course, water elementals will be immune to frost, and air elementals will be immune to nature. Not so obviously, however, water elementals will not be immune to fire. And then summon earth elementals will deal 75 average damage per hit. It's physical damage, and they'll be immune to nature. Mana oil specifications are as follows. Minor mana oil. Learned at 95 skill. Grants you 3 MP5 and grants you a spell that causes you to become immune to mana burns and mana drain effects for 20 seconds and removes existing ones from you. Instant cast on a 5-minute cooldown. And then yada, etc. Major mana oil. Passively grants you 12 MP5 and allows you to cast a spell that causes you to become immune to mana burn and mana drain effects for 30 seconds and removes the existing one from you. Instant cast, 5-minute cooldown. The expenses of these oils will be comparable to those of elemental oils. Wizard oil specifications shall be as follows. Yada, minor wizard oil. Plus 8 spell damage. Grants lesser blink. Instant cast, 10-minute cooldown. The 8 spell damage is passive. Major wizard oil. 295 skill. Passively grants 30 spell damage. Grants you a spell called Lesser Blink. Instant cast on a 5-minute cooldown. Lesser Blink acts as the mage's blink spell, except it does not free you from any bonds, and cannot be used when you cannot control your character. Mages of Wizard Oil can, of course, cast it immediately before or after casting regular Blink. The expense of the Wizard Oil shall be comparable to those of elemental oils. These elemental oils are what is going to enable enchanters to compete in usefulness of engineering. When somebody else can enchant all of your shit for you. And on a spot, and for free. And yeah, that's all I got for watching.